Today we're going to build a capsule wardrobe using one pattern company, and I'm going to give you all the reasons why this might be a good idea for you. Hi, my name is Sarah, and I make videos about sewing and styling a handmade wardrobe. If you're just starting out in your wardrobe journey, it might be a good idea for you to create a capsule wardrobe with pieces that you can mix and match. There's tons of videos out there on YouTube about capsule wardrobes, so I'm not going to go into detail about it, but I am going to share with you the reasons why if you don't have a ton of patterns already in your stash, it could be a good idea to choose just one pattern company to build your capsule. The first reason is that often a pattern company's designs are meant to be worn together, and so it takes out a little bit of the guesswork. You don't have to comb through different patterns from different designers and try to figure out in advance if they're going to work together or not. Often you can just see that they work together. A lot of pattern companies will actually photograph their designs together so you know that they will work. And even though we're talking about basics, there's often kind of a design consistency when you're working with just one company. As someone who has several hundred patterns in my stash, it can be overwhelming to go through them all and decide which ones are going to mix and match together. So using the patterns from just one company can be a nice little shortcut. The second reason to go with just one pattern company is because there's often a fit consistency because they use the same block. So once you've sewn one or two of their patterns and you know the kinds of adjustments that you need to make, you're very likely to need to make those same adjustments across the entire line. And that can be really comforting, knowing in advance the kind of changes that you're likely to need to make. Now, that's not to say that that happens every single time, but it often is pretty consistent. In this scenario, it's also a good idea to choose a company that fits you pretty well out of the gate, where you don't have to make a ton of adjustments. The beauty of having so many pattern companies out there now is that there can be something for everybody. And so even though companies often have very similar styles of patterns in their collection, if you have a certain designer that just fits your body well, then it makes sense to just stick with them rather than trying to pick someone else where you have to make way more adjustments. Another reason is that you could wait until the company has a site-wide sale, like Black Friday is quickly approaching, and you could buy a bunch of their patterns all at once on discount. And that way you could save a little bit of money. And finally, not everybody does this, but some pattern companies do have interchangeable parts between their different patterns. Like Pattern Emporium is one, like you can often use the sleeves from one pattern and another pattern. I have done that myself. And having those interchangeable parts is very convenient and a way to get different looks. Like I said, not everybody does this, but a few companies do, and if they do, you could take advantage of it. Now, not every pattern company would be suitable to use as a capsule wardrobe because some companies are just really focused on more statement pieces. But just a few examples of companies that I know about that have a really nice large catalog that you could easily build a capsule wardrobe using their designs. Those include True Bias, Cashmerette, Seamwork, Itch to Stitch, Love Notions, Pattern Emporium, Style Arc, Closet Core, and I'm sure there's many, many others out there. Now for this theoretical capsule, I chose the pattern company I Am Patterns. And just very quickly to say that I'm not sponsored by them. Every single pattern that I own, I've purchased with my own money. But I Am Patterns is a French pattern company. Their size range in PDF is from 34 to 52, and on paper it's from 36 to 46. They draft for 5'5" and a B cup. Now the reason why I selected I Am Patterns for this theoretical capsule is because their block fits me relatively well out of the gate. I don't have to make a ton of adjustments. I have already sewn a lot of their patterns and I own quite a few more. I'll be going over which ones that I actually have and have made when we talk about the capsule. Most of their newer designs come with tons of different variations, and so you can make the same pattern over and over again. You can just fit it the one time and then just add different features and get totally different looks, and variety is very important to me in my wardrobe. And finally, I Am Patterns is priced relatively well. I think most of the time I've purchased from them, I've bought things on sale. But even so, like the most that I've paid is around $10 USD. Of course, that fluctuates because they price in euros, so the exchange rate changes. But in general, for an indie pattern company, I think that their price point is very good. So because I have a very large and substantial wardrobe, I'm not actually going to do this. Capsule wardrobes don't necessarily work for me, at least not in the long term. But I know that tons of people out there are interested in having a more minimal and thoughtful wardrobe, and I do think this is a really good approach. So I kind of reimagined if I were starting my wardrobe from scratch, if I changed size or something and just needed to make a whole new wardrobe, and I wanted to stick with one pattern company, what are the patterns that I would choose to actually build a capsule? And that's what we're going to go through today with I Am Patterns. So let's just start off with tops. The very first garment that I would start with in a capsule wardrobe is a basic t-shirt. I just feel like for me, a basic t-shirt, you can never go wrong. I need both short sleeve and long sleeve. And the option that I chose is the Angel t-shirt. This is for a men's and a women's oversized tee. It does have different sleeve lengths, and I believe it comes with different bands where you can have a wider neckband or a more narrow neckband, but the actual neckline is a crew neck. There's no variations there. It also comes as a dress option, which is a nice bonus. Now, I already have several tried and true t-shirt patterns in my stash, so I have no need for this one, so I don't own it myself. But the thing that I liked about this t-shirt is the fit. I think that a classic boxy crew neck t-shirt is just a good basic that I could get a lot of wear out of. And I like that it comes in a men's version as well, because I just think that adds to the versatility if I wanted to sew for more people in my life. So we have a basic tee. The next top that I would consider to be an essential in my capsule wardrobe would be a button-up shirt. I Am Patterns has a ton of different button-up shirt patterns, but the one I selected for this capsule is the Marty. And I chose this one because it comes with 150 different options. Yes, you heard me right. There are variations for a regular button-up shirt, a peplum top, a tunic, or a dress. It has a bunch of different sleeve options from sleeveless to short sleeve to long. It comes with different collars and it has either what they're calling a polo placket or like a half placket, or it has a full button front. Now, in terms of the fit of this shirt, it is meant to be very oversized. It almost looks like it has a little bit of a trapeze shape to it, which to be honest is not my absolute favorite, but I think that I could get some use out of that type of shirt. I don't own this particular pattern because I don't have a need for it. I have lots and lots of patterns for both shirts and shirt dresses. But if I were starting from scratch, I think that this would be a really good pattern to get because you do get both in just one pattern. And I just think that it's an amazing value. The next top that I would add to my capsule is a basic woven top. So I have selected the Jane, which I believe is an older pattern in their collection. This also comes as both a top and a dress. It has batwing raglan sleeves, which I just thought was really interesting and a little bit different. There are sleeve length options. You can either do short sleeve or you can do a longer sleeve with elastic gathering at the cuff. And it has a little slit on the front, which is very simple, but just adds a little bit of detail. So this is basically a woven t-shirt, but the little details that it adds just makes it a little bit more interesting. But the design is simple enough that you can really let the fabric shine. The thing that I liked about this pattern is that depending on your fabric choice, you could get really different looking tops. Like imagine if you made the short sleeve version in like a white cotton eyelet and how different that would look if you chose like a rayon animal print with the long sleeves. No one would know that you had used the same pattern. So you could utilize the pattern year round and make tops that serve completely different purposes in your wardrobe. So I think that that is ideal for a capsule. I don't own this one myself. I have similar patterns already in my stash, but I do think this would be a really good beyond basic top. So now that we've covered the basics in tops, I wanted to add one more that was just a little bit more statement, a little bit more special. So I've chosen the pearl blouse, which just came out, and I actually just purchased this pattern myself, but I haven't made it yet. It is next on my to sew list. This is for a more feminine blouse, and again, it just has a ton of different options. There's a version that has a tie neck, you can do a plain round neck, or you can add a little ruffle. You can do either a hidden button placket or a visible one. There's different sleeve options. There's two sleeves that are long bishop sleeves with a thick cuff, and then one of them has pleats on the arm, which I think is just a really nice detail. Or you can do a 3/4 sleeve with a shorter cuff. I was actually thinking about elongating the 3/4 sleeve and making it a long sleeve, but with that shorter cuff. So you can definitely add your own variations as well. You don't have to just stick to the pattern options. It comes in both a cropped and a more classic blouse length. And once you have the basics covered in a capsule like we do with the other three patterns, I just feel like it's nice to make a few more statement looks that you can dress up or make work appropriate or date night appropriate, or you can just wear it at home if you want to. Just something a little bit different with more interesting details than a very basic top. So that's why I included it in this capsule. So with these 4 different patterns, you could make so many different tops. It would cover all of the seasons, not to mention that most of the patterns do come as a dress as well, so that increases your versatility even more. Now let's move on to bottoms. First bottom that I would choose to make in a capsule wardrobe is a basic elastic waist pull-on pant or short. So I have chosen the Armor pattern. I don't own this pattern myself. I already have a tried and true that I really like, but I do really like that this pattern has some special features that are a little bit more unique. So this is a fully elasticated waist. It comes in different lengths. You can do a full-length pant, a cropped pant, or a pair of shorts. You can add back patch pockets, and it has side seam pockets. This pattern also comes with a button front detail that has pin tucks on the front, and I think that you can leave those off or you can add them. And I just like the little extra design detail. I think that it's really interesting. The buttons have kind of a sailor feel, and a lot of your basic standard elastic waist pants patterns don't offer that kind of extra. I'm actually thinking about possibly adding those details to my own TNT pattern because I just do really like the way that it looks. And I like that with those details, even though its elastic waist is very comfortable, you can make it look a little bit dressier than just a basic pull-on pant. So for my theoretical capsule, I wouldn't just need a woven pull-on pant, I would also want a comfy knit loungewear pant. So the next pattern is the Mowgli pants and shorts. This one is for a knit jogger or pair of shorts. It comes in two different fits. There's one that's more fitted and one that's more relaxed. It has optional back pockets. It comes with a little bit of a lower rise, which is more comfortable, and it's fully elasticated and gives you an optional drawstring. I think this would make a nice casual basic knit pant. Now, if I were making this for myself, I would definitely make the shorts, but I probably would just leave off the elastic in the relaxed fit pant because I don't really like the cinching at the ankle. It's just not my personal preference. But that's a very easy change to make, and it can give you a different look. Maybe you're someone who wants to have both the traditional jogger style and also some looser, more straight leg pants, and so you could easily have both with just this one pattern. Next, we have a pant that's a little bit more dressy, a little bit more work appropriate. This one is the Christophine pants and shorts. Now, I do own this pattern myself, but I haven't made it yet. It has a pleated front with a little bit of a tapered leg, and then the back has this really interesting pointy detail, which I think they said was like a classic jodhpur or something. I might be making that up. But I just thought that that back waist detail was a really interesting one, but you could also easily straighten it out if that's not your taste. It comes in a full-length pant, a knee-length short, which I would avoid like the plague, or you could do a more classic shorter short. I really like this design because I feel like you could dress it up or down. I do plan to make these next summer out of maybe a linen or like a lighter weight cotton. For me, for some reason, it does read more of like a spring and summer pant rather than a winter one, but you could probably make it out of something like a suiting as well. I also think if you want to do some light hacking that you could play with the leg shape and you could widen the legs a little bit if you wanted something that was more straight or a little bit wider. And to me, these just look really fun to sew, so I'm looking forward to getting to that next year. The last pant that I have selected for this capsule is the Sunshine jeans, which I have made. Every capsule wardrobe needs at least one pair of jeans, at least in my opinion, because I wear jeans all the time. This pattern has two views. There's a classic tapered leg, or there's one that's a relaxed fit that has more of a balloon-shaped leg. I know that that shape's not going to be for everybody, but I do feel like you could do the classic one if that's more your taste. This is your standard 5-pocket jean style. It has really good instructions. I didn't have any problems with the construction. I made my version out of a black corduroy in the tapered leg view. And I do think that this pattern could have more versatility because you could do some light hacking again and change the leg shape if you want to. And I would do that on the tapered version and not the balloon version. I think it'd be a little bit easier. So I would make this pattern again, and I do highly recommend it for this capsule. Now, adding a few skirts to the capsule. Skirts to me are a really tough one because there's so many different styles, and people just have different preferences for the silhouettes that they prefer to wear. Thinking about this through the lens of if I were making it for myself, I chose 2 skirts, but I will leave the links below for their entire skirt catalog because they have so many different styles. If you like something that's a little bit more full or a wrap skirt or just different styles than what I've chosen, they do have lots of options. So the first skirt that I have selected is another new release. It's called the Ruby skirt. This one is an A-line denim skirt that has length options, both midi and short. And it also comes with a view that is just a basic A-line shape with a back zipper. They've shown it styled with kind of a solid mini skirt underneath and then a sheer overlay, which is very trendy right now. That's probably not something that I would wear myself, but I do like the idea of having just the basic silhouette of an A-line skirt because you could do so many different things with it. And of course, the denim skirt would fit really seamlessly into my own wardrobe, and if I didn't already have several denim skirts that I love, I would consider getting this pattern. The last skirt that I've chosen is called the Rachel. This is a slip style skirt that has a side slit and a side zipper. It has different length options, midi length, knee length, or mini. I like both the midi length and the mini. I probably would not make the knee length. I would probably buy this pattern if I didn't have a similar one already in my stash. I really like that it's such a simple design because you can use a really stunning, beautiful fabric and really let the print shine. But I also think it would look nice in a solid, and it would be a basic that would go with so many different things in your wardrobe and you could wear it year-round. So let's take a quick time out for me to ask you this question. What are your thoughts and feelings about capsule wardrobes? I know that they're incredibly popular these days, and there is an appeal to having a very small collection of patterns that you could just sew over and over again in different variations. Now, to answer this question myself, I am not really a capsule wardrobe person. I have tried it in the past, and the reason why it doesn't work for me in my everyday is because I just need variety. I find that I feel stifled or bored if I have to wear a small number of clothing for too long. I've done short-term experiments that have been really successful, like a 10-day, or if I go on a vacation, I really like doing a capsule wardrobe for that so that I can pack as little as possible. But for my normal everyday full closet, I would not like the idea of being limited to such a small number of pieces. But there is definitely some appeal to me of having a small number of patterns that I fit into my body really well, and I can just keep reusing them over and over again. So I could definitely see how that would work for some people. I just don't think that it would work overall that well for me. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I would really love to hear from you. Tell me how you feel about capsule wardrobes and if they work in your life. Now, to share with you what I'm wearing today, I am wearing the Marshland sweater that I made into a cardigan from Tin Can Knits. I really love this sweater because I used up different leftover yarns in my stash, so I didn't buy anything to make this sweater. And it's a little bit of a funky color combination, but it's really growing on me. Then underneath, I am wearing my Pattern Emporium Keep It Simple Babe tee in this brown crew neck. On the bottom, I have my Quince wide leg jeans that I hemmed and my Doc Marten Chelsea boots. And for a bag today, I'm carrying my little Longchamp pouch that I converted into a crossbody. If you're enjoying this video so far and feel like you're getting some value out of it, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. And let's move on to the layers. Now, I Am Patterns has a ton of different options for jackets, cardigans, and coats, and so it was hard to narrow it down. But I tried to pick the patterns that would fit the best in my theoretical capsule. But if you're someone who likes more dressier blazers or more statement coats, they do offer patterns for that as well, and those are linked down in the description box. So starting off with a more casual basic, I would want a hoodie in my capsule wardrobe. So I've chosen the rainbow pattern, which is one of my tried and true patterns. I've made it a few times, and I also own the men's version, which I have made for my husband a few times. And I really like this pattern. It's just your standard classic hoodie, but it comes again in tons of different options. You can do a pullover or a full front zip. You can make it into a dress. You can actually make it as a hoodie or a crew neck sweatshirt. It has different pocket options. And to me, this is just your most classic loungewear top. You can wear it with sweatpants. You can wear it with jeans. You could even wear it with your trousers or skirts if you wanted a little bit more contrast in the level of dress. You could layer it underneath a jacket. I just love a hoodie, and I would definitely want it to be in my capsule wardrobe if I were starting over again. I think the picture that I'm showing you is of the dress version that I made because I couldn't find one of the basic hoodie, but I have made both, and I will continue to use that pattern again and again in the future. Next, we have the Gaston, which is I Am Patterns' version of a cardigan. It is meant to be made out of a knit fabric. You can make it collarless or you can add a collar. There's different pocket options. You can do a patch pocket or a welt pocket. I own this pattern and I have sewn it myself, although the version that I made was meant to mimic a ready-to-wear piece, so I did do some modifications. I made a Sherpa fleece jacket that has toggles in the front, and I did the collarless version. I do really like that the addition of snaps kind of gives it almost a bomber jacket feel, but if you made it out of something like a ponte with buttons, then it would look more like a traditional cardigan. It just kind of depends on what fabric that you choose in order to get different looks. I really like that versatility. I absolutely will sew this pattern again at some point in the future. It's just not on my list for this year. Next up, we have the gold pattern. This is another part of their new collection. I do not own this one because I already have a classic denim jacket, but if I didn't, I would seriously consider buying this one because it has so many different options. It has a little bit of a boxier feel. You can make it as a classic denim jacket. You can make it as a vest. You can make a longer duster version, which I think is really interesting. And you can also do a collarless version, which I wouldn't have thought of, but it is actually very trendy right now. So if you wanted a denim jacket but with a twist, you could leave off the collar. And of course, you could make it in different fabrics. So you could choose a denim and just have your classic jean jacket, but you could also make something like a corduroy or even like a velvet, and that would give it a totally different look. And to me, a classic denim jacket is an absolutely staple piece in my wardrobe. I would definitely wear it in so many different ways. It's a really good casual basic to have in your wardrobe for a layering piece. Next up, we have the Hathor, which I do own but haven't sewn yet. This one is for a vest. It has different neckline and pocket options. You can make a version that is fully lined or unlined. You can choose between a zipper or a snap closure. It does come with an optional hood. I really like that this pattern can look sportier or more equestrian depending on your style options and your fabric. I really particularly like the zip-up version with the hood. I've always wanted to sew this pattern in a quilted version using my own patchwork. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But I also like the idea of getting some pre-quilted fabric and doing a little bit more of a solid, sporty look. A casual vest fits better into my capsule wardrobe because I have a more casual lifestyle, but I think that you could actually make a version that's a little bit more dressed up and wear it with your pretty blouse or with your button-up shirt, as well as being able to wear it with t-shirts and your more laid-back pieces in your closet. Finally, rounding out the layers, I have chosen one coat, and it's the Bob trench coat. I have sewn this myself. It is one of my proudest makes of all time. It's for a fully lined trench coat that has different collar options, and there are 4 different lengths that you could choose. I made the longest one. I really like that this is a single-breasted trench coat because for me and my body type, I just feel like it looks better than a double-breasted coat. If you are more of a double-breasted person, they do have a blazer that is double-breasted. I absolutely love my coat that I made out of a red cotton canvas with a beautiful floral cotton sateen lining. I would consider making another one of these someday, maybe out of a denim. I think that that could be absolutely fabulous with a lot of contrast top stitching. It is a lot of work to make this coat, but the instructions are really good. And if you just follow it one step at a time, pretty soon before you know it, you'll have a fabulous coat. I highly recommend this pattern. I can't say enough good things about it. And I think that it's a perfect topper to add to your capsule wardrobe. Now let's finish off our capsule with one pieces, dresses and jumpsuits. Now, honesty time here, I am not that crazy about the dress selection for IM patterns. I don't wear a ton of dresses anyway, and I guess I'm just kind of picky about the dresses that I like to wear. So I'm only going to highlight a couple of patterns here, but keep in mind back in the top section, we had 3 patterns that could also be made as dresses, as well as the rainbow hoodie, which can be a dress. So if this were my capsule wardrobe, I would have more options for dresses than what I'm sharing with you here. First up, I have selected the Lotus, which I almost put in the top section. I don't own this one because I do have similar patterns already, but it's a very versatile basic. You can do a button or a plain front. It has a V-neck or a crew neck with a gathered skirt, and it even comes as a separate skirt pattern, so that adds even more versatility. You can choose to add sleeves or keep it sleeveless. And it's meant to be a loose fit, so it's a little bit easier to fit to the body. You don't have to be super precise, so it's maybe a little bit more beginner friendly. Now the Lotus would make a fabulous casual dress, but if you needed something a little bit more dressy that you could wear to an event or to a wedding, I have picked the Octarine, which is a classic wrap dress. Feminine in style, really pretty. It has these really feminine butterfly sleeves and a knee length. This one, oddly enough, did not come with a line drawing that I could see. I think it's one of their older patterns. I do think that it has enough versatility that you could make it a few different times in different fabrics and get something that's a little bit more day dress appropriate, or you could make it look fancier for an event. And a wrap dress is certainly a classic that you can't really go wrong with it. Next, we have the Diamond, which is another new addition to their pattern collection. This is for an overalls pattern, and I really do love wearing overalls. I already have a tried and true overall pattern in my stash, so I will not be buying this one. But of course, like all of their patterns, it comes with a lot of different options. These are just your basic classic overalls with different leg shapes. They have a straight leg, a wide leg, a cargo, and a shorts version. I think the cargo version has elastic gathering in the ankle, but you could easily leave that off. They show it in a variety of different fabrics, from your classic denim to corduroy. I actually really want to make a pair of overalls next spring in like a cream colored denim. I think that would be a really nice warm weather option. And I love overalls because they're so comfortable to wear. They're not tight around your waist, so they're really great for lounging at home. And you could stick to the basics and wear like your classic t-shirt underneath and just be really comfortable. But you could also get a little funky and style it up with something like a blouse and just have a lot of fun with your level of dress, which is something that I really like to play around with. And even if you did dress it up, it would still be incredibly comfortable. So that's what I really love about overalls. And this pattern looks like a really good option. So these are not even all of the IM patterns that I have owned and sewn before, but I do think that these would be the best option for starting a capsule wardrobe. Hopefully this video has inspired you to take a look at your own pattern collection and see if maybe you could build a capsule or a mini capsule. out of designs from one pattern company. I think that it's a really good way to build a wardrobe.